Hello world of YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Redacted, the show where I take a look at records that have a solid foundation, but sometimes have a spotty execution, and finding a way to make a smoother listening experience out of it all. Paak has been having a pretty damn good year. I mean, he's got Silk Sonic that's thriving right now. That project was a smash. He had the whole Grammys appearance. He was at the Met Gala. He's got a Vans line coming out soon. He drummed for Dr. Dre's Super Bowl performance. He also drummed for BTS for their single that just dropped. Paak is all over the map. And I couldn't be happier for the guy. And so, to celebrate in that, I figured I would take a look at his really well-constructed discography and making a fun episode out of this. It's by no means a replacement record like some of the Redacteds I've talked about have been in the past, because the foundation that he provided is a fantastic piece of music. But I figured I would do a little deep dive with it and see what I can pull together. I'm talking about his third album, his introduction to Aftermath Records, that was Oxnard. Now, similarly to artists like Kendrick Lamar and Radiohead, Paak had enough recording material during these sessions to pull together a companion piece to it called Ventura. It dropped a year later, and that's what I'll be injecting into pockets of Oxnard, while also rearranging the track listing of Oxnard to fit those additions, and to generally have a different flow than the version that he presented. I really love Oxnard. I think that it is a fantastic record. I also think Ventura is a great collection of tracks that have some fantastic collaborations in the midst, and my overall goal with it was to just make a project that flowed while retaining a lot of the spirit of what made Oxnard so fantastic to begin with. My version is actually a little bit longer than the original Oxnard. It's 18 songs and in an hour and 8 minutes, so it's a rare case where my Redacted is a little bit longer. But hear me out as I break down my track listing. But before I do that, let's show off the track listing right now.
I'm begging you, please come home. No stinted, I got way too much to lose, so go up real quick. I need this. You're coming with me. What about the love? Coming with me. What about the neighbors? Coming with me. What about the sea? This shit gon' bang at least 6 summers from out that rock you been under. Mummy wrapped duffel bag. You know I hit it almost every time and then I miss one. How we gon' get ourselves up out of this one? Hard to get up from this, like say.
Am I my brother's keeper? They still laughing about the duo. Applaud is finding salvation.
I know you somewhere in the atmosphere. I know someday I'll meet you halfway there. Cheers. Maybe that ass is just unfair. Jet black hair, baby, jet black hair. At least 2 grams of your blunt wrap there. Now who are you?
Who the fuck is this?
I don't know what you do. I don't know you short a few. Then I've already had it, I'm cool. This is not some take you out for lunch.
You could be a chosen one, but these niggas all alone. Shoot it if you hold it.
Back on my bullshit. I got some money to blow. I'm looking good, bitch. Even as the king, I stay. Baby, do you wanna make it better? Do she says pull over? I slow. I think I'm in the rough ends now. I can smell it from a mile away. Hey, can't be the truth. Faith, but you niggas don't believe. Lord, forgive them for they do not know what they do. But God, if you'll listen, yes, Lord, I can still reach you. Hey, what can we do? Yeah, what can we do? What can we do?
And while I love The Chase, I think that it's a fantastic opening song for Oxnard. I personally couldn't resist the opportunity to start it with a 2-hit combo flurry of collaborations with 2 goats of hip-hop, in my opinion. Andre 3000 on Come Home and Tints with Kendrick Lamar. Come Home having this great lush swell that I also feel like sets a good stage. It is the opener to Ventura after all. And I think that it's this great, again, sort of welcoming track in its own regard that just has a great collaboration with Andre in the mix before rolling into what was a great single from Oxnard and a fantastic collaboration with Kendrick Lamar in Tints. I put this song in my favorite Kendrick features list video because I do like Kendrick's verse here, and I feel like the production on here is very sleek and very, again, sort of pop-centric. It's got a cleanness to it that I feel like both Anderson and Kendrick utilize incredibly well. I think it's a great summer jam, and I feel like it sort of is a good ramp-up in energy from the grand swells of Come Home. And I figured if we're going to be in the realm of collaborations with some of the greatest artists of their time, why not lead into a song about one of the greatest athletes to be in his general field, LeBron James, in the form of King James. I think that's another really good, funky song that carries the energy of Tints in kineticism while adapting the sound into what's going to shape the next couple of tracks. But it's also just a good bop. I really like the writing on King James, and I think that it's a really good song that has a nice, funky groove at its core. And while the well-orchestrated groove of King James dances into the horizons, echoing in 6 Summers after that flows impeccably well and does shift the songwriting into something much more heavy. You know, it's a song that really deconstructs a lot of things that were happening, not just in politics at the time, but continue to be relevant even now, which wasn't that long ago, but still, you know, it talks about Trump's sex scandals and issues with President Trump that were happening, you know, perpetually, while also talking about gun violence and just mass consumerism, problems going on in society. It's a very heavy song lyrically and very politically charged, but I think Anderson does a really good job at writing songs like that. You know, I put Lockdown on my songs of the year that it came out, because I thought that was a well-written fucking tune, and 6 Summers is another track in that vein that I also think is kind of a bop. Like, this shit going bang for another 6 Summers, pop, pop, pop goes the shooter, reform, reform should have came sooner. Really good hook. And I felt like after that, after you sit in the groove of that song and hear the message that it's got going on, to then bring the chase in and let the flute wash over the listener before the drum groove of the track settles in, with another fucking awesome lead from Anderson on here. And I feel like the collaboration between him and Kadya Bonnet, who crops up on a couple of tracks on the record, is well executed. And again, it's a great opener for Oxnard. But man, after 6 Summers, I feel like when that track, again, similarly to King James, sort of fades out, this just fades in so very well. And, again, carries the listener into the next pocket of the record, which was, there's a couple of tracks that kind of fulfill that purpose, but The Chase is the first, and I think the best version of that, because from The Chase, it then bleeds into another great rapper twosome with My Brother's Keeper and Cheers with Pusha T and Q-Tip respectively. 2 well-written songs that have some of thematics of their own that kind of tie really well together. You know, My Brother's Keeper, where Pusha really gets to talk about the dissolvement of Clips and how much he, you know, respected his brother for wanting to make that decision. Whereas Cheers takes a much more reflective and almost sad turn. You know, Cheers being a great collaboration with Q-Tip, and I feel like he fits the production on this record like a fucking glove. And Paak and Q-Tip both reflect on close ones of theirs that have passed, you know. Paak with Mac Miller and Q-Tip with Phife Dawg, and they're both well-written tunes. And you could really tell that they're both really working through some shit on the song, and I think it comes together beautifully. Again, it's got some jazzy flair. It fits Q-Tip so very well, and it's a good sort of point in the record where you just kind of get carried into the emotions that the artists are feeling. I feel like it's in a very emotional part, and again, I kind of needed The Chase to buffer 6 Summers from that. I feel like that's a really heavy portion of the record lyrically, but it's good. It's very, very good. But from those, I wanted to carry the groove of Cheers, because these two songs have their own grooves. I feel like, again, similarly to what I was talking about with the transition from Six Summers into The Chase, I do think The Chase bleeds really well into My Brother's Keeper. Like, when the drop happens on My Brother's Keeper, I feel like it hits harder when following all of the lushness of The Chase, that then cuts really well into Cheers, that then also the groove from that song carries like a fucking glove into Jet Black, a song that is a collaboration with Brandy, and it's a great collaboration, IMO. I feel like the groove there is tight. I think the writing, while also still reflective, isn't as heavy as the last couple of songs, so it acts as a bit of a dissection from that, without having you lost in the groove. Before going into another fucking bop with Who Are You, a song that has Anderson .Paak really introducing himself, given this is his first big release on, Aftermath. Dre produced this record by and large, and he gets to brag about that, something he's been wanting to do for a long time. It's him living in his dream and him basking in his own greatness, and you love to see it. It's a bitch I'm here anthem, and I feel like it comes in a good pocket after sort of buffering out from some of the heavier subject matter. Now, while having Winter Circle and Chosen One come after Jet Black makes a little more sense, given all of the songs are kind of written about women, and it kind of has this transition across the three songs, I put Who Are You in between them, partially because the next couple of tracks after Who Are You kind of weave around the subject of talking about women and love and all that sort of stuff with other subject matters, and I kind of put flow first as opposed to bunching themes together. Regardless, Winter Circle and Chosen One are really good songs. They carry the groove. Winter Circle carries the groove from Who Are You pretty amicably. It kind of fades into the fray and puts you back into the pocket before Chosen One's lo-fi groove settles in. And I really love the collaboration of that song. I love the production style of it. I love the hook of the song. I think that the MF Doom line alone could have put it in this track listing. It's a really quality track that also has pockets where Anderson reflects about other things that he's had going on the come up, that I think transitions really well into Mansa Musa, a banger of a tune that uses the imagery of Mansa Musa's power to be an allegory for Anderson .Paak's power, his own come up in excellence as well. It's a great collaboration with Dre and Coco Sarai. Really love the song, and I feel like it comes in at a good point after the groove of Chosen One sort of comes to a sharp climax. That fades really well into the smooth, silky collaboration with Smokey Robinson, Make It Better. A song about rekindling an old flame and making things better. It's a really smooth track that has a collaboration that comes together pretty well and almost acts as a good lead-in to the punchline of Headlow, a song about getting a blowjob on the I-95. Really funny track, really well put together track. But admittedly, I don't waste that punchline. While it is a good, funny lead-in from Make It Better, you can almost see it as rekindling an old flame, only to build that up to getting sucked off on the highway. It leads really well into Anywhere, a song that, while also reflective of the G-Funk era, or just talking about West Coast style, it's a great collaboration with Snoop Dogg and the Last Artful Dodger. It also has some passion in some of Paak's lyrics, and at least the first verse, that kind of carry out some of the last tendrils from the last song, while also settling the listener into this funky groove that carries into the next song, Smile Pretty, a great collaboration and split song that has an incredible switch up, but I wanted to use that as sort of a last of the real raw funkiness before starting to cast the album out into the horizons, because from there we actually go to the track that comes before it in the original track listing, Savior's Road, a song that is a tribute to not only one of the streets Anderson .Paak grew up on, but is sort of a flip into him talking about being saved and his successes, that then fades really well into the last collaboration, the psychedelic-tinged Nate Dogg collaboration that closed out Ventura, What Can We Do? A really well-produced jam that, similarly to tracks like the Andre and Kendrick collaborations, or Mansa Musa and Anywhere, I wanted to just have as a great collaboration with a vet in the game, well, a posthumous collaboration as well, but a really good collaboration. I think Anderson .Paak utilizes Nate Dogg's contributions, or like vocals, really well and melds it with this sort of psychedelic tinged production that he throws on the track. I think it's a really good song, and I think it's a great closer to Ventura, so I used it as the closer to this project. An album that feels like a love letter to the West Coast and where Anderson .Paak grew up in general. And Nate Dogg, obviously, they also reference Nate Dogg and Warren G in Anywhere, so it feels kind of poignant to have him be a part of the closing track. And it's a really good song, in my opinion. Kind of puts the album in a good last note before it closes out. And that's my version of Oxnard. Now, as for the tracks I didn't keep from Oxnard, there's only 3 I didn't keep from Oxnard, and I added a lot more from Ventura. But I didn't keep Trippy, because while I don't mind the Cole collaboration, I just don't think it's as strong as a song as the other ones on the album. I could see it as like a B-side to Tints, maybe, but I don't think it hits as hard as other tracks on the project. Same with Sweet Chick. I kind of used Chosen One to kind of keep the groove that Sweet Chick kind of throws into the fray. And then Left to Right, there's a lot of reflection on pockets of Oxnard, and while Left to Right feels like a good closer to a lot of those ideals, I just ended up scrapping it because there's handfuls of tracks from Oxnard and Ventura that I kept on there that do the same effect, keep it to the same effect, and it ended up on the cutting room floor purely because, partially pacing, partially because, again, similarly to the tracks that I scrapped, it just doesn't hit as hard as the ones that I did keep. And that could be said of the 3 tracks I scrapped from Ventura as well. I like the collaboration Good Heels. While I like the smoothness of Yada Yada, I just couldn't find a place to fit it in the pocket. And Twilight is a track that, again, I like, but not as much as most of the stuff I kept from the album. But that's my version of Oxnard. Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments down below. If you'd like to listen to it, a Spotify and YouTube version are linked in the description. If you did like it, be sure to give it a like. If you want to see more of my music, gaming, and general nerdery content, be sure to subscribe. Special thanks to my patrons. If you want to join the ranks to get early access to content, exclusive content, or to help drive the community, it's linked in the description. I'm going to get out of here, though. Thank you again so very much for watching. I've been Viral Rack. You guys have good days, lives, and situations, and I'll see you another day.